This is Retire ATL, powered by the Vincent Financial Group.
You may not know, hey, I have this concern. I have this question. This is falling short in my portfolio. You may not know those things, but in your gut, you're like, I just feel like I don't have the whole story. There's something missing here. Trust your gut. Give us a call.
Now, Retire ATL.
And we're here with CFP and investment advisor Aaron Vincent, also CFP Matthew Decker, helping you retire on your terms by addressing three key pillars. We're always talking about tax planning, risk management, and determining your income strategy. I'm Mark Owens, gentlemen, Matthew especially, Matt Decker. I mean, things are changing for you.
So many big changes.
Are you on the move or on the run?
Yeah, both. Oh, my gosh.
You are.
The Decker household, we moved the last couple weeks. It's still going. So, man.
Yeah.
A lot going on, moving from one place. But what's crazy is we're moving around the corner. So I know, Mark, you've done that a couple years ago maybe. But, yeah, we moved around the corner. My wife really wanted a couple things. She wanted chickens.
Okay.
She wanted dogs. And she wanted out of the HOA. So we had to find
trifecta of suburban life.
Yeah, so I'm like, okay, well, that sounds great. I mean, chickens, dogs, and no HOA. Nobody told me my trash cans are still at the curb. Okay. And so, yeah, we found a little spot just like a mile from where we were living. And it's kind of surreal because I've never done a cross-town move.
Yeah.
I've only done big cross-country moves.
But you have to treat it.
It's the same.
Like it's a cross-country.
What's up with that?
I know, right? The only bonus, I did the same thing, literally moved 0.7 of a mile. But the only bonus is that, I forgot something, I can run back to the house.
Right.
Yeah.
Is there a worse stage of life to move in than when you've got 3 young kids as you do?
I mean, I put those boys to work.
Maybe that's the plus side.
I mean,
all this stuff, though.
I'm on the truck, and I'm like, boys, what are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I see you sitting around like, let's go.
Yeah.
Get to work. Get a dolly. Get a little hand truck. There's boxes over there in the corner. Like, get to work.
That chicken coop ain't going to build itself, boys.
Yeah.
Let's get to it.
My middle son is a great worker. I mean, he was a trooper. He was working that hand truck all day, loving
He's
it.
smart. He's like, I could get stuck carrying stuff by hand, or I can just post up on this hand truck and wheel it around. That's smart. That's smart.
Matt, he could be learning something because we always talk about trade jobs, blue-collar jobs, electricians.
Mm-hmm.
The moving company, I mean, they're always in desperate need of good help. And I'm saying he could got his start at a young age and create his own Decker moving company.
He could own that sucker.
There it is.
One day.
Who's gonna mow your 3 acres now?
Oof, probably me. Probably me with the beer in the console.
Yeah, with a giant riding lawnmower.
Yeah.
Like
Retire
3 passes and it's done.
ATLradio.com. You can put faces to the voices that you hear every weekend here on Retire ATL, or keep this number close, 770-741-0120. Real quick, as we're talking about moving, how often do you talk to retirees and they downsize? With the state of the housing market we're in right now, do you find it's still a very popular move for people in retirement, or do more people kind of like this empty nest, a big house, a lot of space? What do you see happening a lot, Aaron?
We have this conversation a lot. What we're finding, though, is that the idea is still very popular and everyone wants to talk about it.
Yeah.
What they find is they have to downsize, but it costs more. And so they're like, never mind.
Yeah.
I want to downsize to the beach.
Yeah.
That's right. That's not a downsize.
Yeah. Well, you talk about HOAs and insurance, and it's almost more expensive just to. So if you've got it paid off, I mean, why not just enjoy what you have?
At the same time, too, there's a lot of families that are seeing that house as a paid off asset, and they're like, well, that's actually a great thing to leave to one of my kids.
Oh, yeah.
I've had several of those conversations in the last couple weeks.
Yep.
So.
Always talking about passing down
Taxes.
your legacy. Taxes. Always talking about taxes. 770-741-0120. Let's talk about risk here for just a couple of minutes. Always talking about one of the key pillars to a retirement strategy, and specifically the 60-40 portfolio. 60% stocks, 40% bonds. Still very popular. It took a big hit in 2022, but now it's up 15%. So what can we expect in 2025? I want you to hear this clip from Morningstar's Jason Kephart, and he says,
I think you always want to keep a longer mindset with a 60-40 portfolio. In 2008, it lost more than 30%. 2022 was down almost 20%. So this is not a one-year investment. This should be like 5 to 10 years minimum time frame. But having said that, yes, stocks are more expensive now than they were a year ago. Bond yields are starting to come down. So you might want to check your expectations a little bit, and another 15% plus return might not be in the cards, but then it might. But there are some risks, I think, that are really pertinent to kind of investors keep in mind in 2025.
all right, so how are you feeling about the 60-40 model?
A lot of hedging of the bets in there.
So, hey, listen, tell me nothing while making it seem like you told me something.
It could be up. It could be down 15, 32. You know, who knows? You don't know what
Afterwards,
to
I'll
do.
tell you how it did.
Yeah.
Oh, all right, cool.
Aaron's actually got a great story about risk. Happened what, a couple weeks ago?
I mean,
You
just
can we tell this story?
It's fresh. I'll tell it, but I'll leave the names
Please
and
do.
the details out to protect those who are innocent
Or guilty.
or very guilty. We had some folks walk into our office not that long ago with a request. Hey, we have this stock that we think is going to it's going to be on a tear, and we want to put all this money. It was a big chunk of money, and we want you. We want you to be the ones to execute this for us.
Mm-hmm.
And so we began to talk, and we began to get the details. Like, hey, where did this idea come from? I'm trying to get to know them some, and to cut to the chase here, I told them no. I'm like, no, I will not buy that stock. The stock was at like $8 a share that day.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the reasons they wanted to buy it
Yeah.
was because it was down.
Yeah, it was
how
down.
much? Like 80% over the last year?
A lot. It was down
great
big time.
time to buy.
And they're like, hey, I'm not even sure where this idea came from. I mean, talk about being out of left field.
This
out
is
of
also
nowhere.
the same people that wanted to go to cash like 6 months ago, right?
Yes, exactly right. Yes. I mean, there's so much to this story.
Okay.
And so all the things you don't want to do, like all the number one do not do's is what they're doing. And I just basically say no. Like, I'm sorry. I'm not doing that for you.
What are you
cannot
talking about? No.
have my name on this advice. I will not execute this for you.
How dare
I'm
you?
sorry. Yeah, and that was the look I got. What do you mean? Like, you're a financial professional. You are an investment manager. I want you to buy this investment for me. The only thing I didn't expect you to say was no. I expected a lot of things, but not no. Well, that's what I said. And to make a long story short, we follow up with them a few days later just to say, hey, how you doing? What are you thinking? Have you thought about this anymore? But before reaching out to them, I wanted to check and see. So I had one of the guys from our team see, hey, that stock that they're asking for, what's happened in the past few days? Well, it went from $7.80 a share when they were in the office. They had calculated, hey, with this giant stack of money I've got that I want you to buy this stock with, we know how many shares we can buy at $7.80 a share. Well, 3 days later, as we checked on it, the stock price was 15 cents.
Oh,
We're talking
no.
hundreds of thousands. So what they didn't know was, when they came in, they did not know the amount of risk that they were taking by stuffing all this money. All they could see, it's like they had blinders on, and there was one little detail they were focusing on. Everything else ceased to exist for a moment. And so at the end of the day, I think the moral of the story is that people, they hear things, whether it's on the news or it's their brother-in-law or it's a friend or anyone who has this next hot stock tip and the thing that you just have to have because it's going to be the one that's going to go to the moon. And when those things come up, it's just, I think it's human nature to have FOMO. Like, I don't want to miss out on what could be the next thing.
Yeah.
I really want to take advantage of this. And it's like all the costs of that, all the potential ramifications, it could wreck your plan, as it almost did for these folks. Those risks are out the window because all you can see is the FOMO or the opportunity. And so I think that's one of our jobs. Our job is to help people make better decisions just by educating on what the pros and cons of these different ideas are. I mean, the fact is, they could have lost hundreds of thousands of dollars in a matter of a few days.
They would have.
They would have.
They absolutely would have. Emotional decision-making is one of the pillars that we talk about with every single person that comes through the doors as it relates to risk. The one thing that you can't do is get emotional. You just can't do it. And we all have a tendency to get emotional when we've got time invested or money invested or we're invested in a certain outcome. It's so easy for all of us to get emotional. And that's why a lot of times we'll tell people, what's the number one biggest risk to your retirement? What's the number one biggest risk to your retirement?
The market.
Nope.
Taxes.
Nope.
Chicken coops.
No, I
The
know what
price
it is.
of
I know what it
eggs.
is. I know what it is.
What is it?
Inflation.
Nope.
Healthcare.
Healthcare. Then you're going to say healthcare.
yeah.
Tariffs.
Yeah, tariffs.
Politics, yeah.
Politics.
Biggest risk? I touched them all, Matt. What could it possibly be besides
the biggest risk is you.
Oh, it's me.
Of course.
Of course
And
it
it's
is.
me,
Yes.
and it's
No,
we
it's
are
true.
all
It's
our
100%
number
true.
one worst enemy, because if we are left to our own devices, we're going to get emotional. We're going to make emotional decisions, and what that's going to force you into, if you get into that emotional decision-making process, you're going to be that person that buys high and sells low.
Right.
The opposite of what you want to do. You want to buy low and sell high. Well, look, no one has ever bought low and sold high in like some emotional breakdown state. Like that's not how it happens. It's the opposite.
Yeah.
You sell when you should buy and you buy when you should sell because you're either falling prey to fear or greed.
FOMO.
FOMO or you're scared.
Yeah.
And we just have to avoid that at all costs.
770-741-0120. One of the three key pillars of a retirement strategy involves risk. And you offer the risk score. You can find and help determine our risk score at the Vincent Financial Group. How exactly does that work?
The risk score is probably the coolest thing that we do, and we actually do it up front. So people reach out to us all the time, and they may not be clients yet. They may just be kind of hearing us and saying, hey, that sounds interesting. I'd like to know more. The risk score is one of the first things that we do. And I'll briefly just give you an idea of what it is. It's a Nobel Prize winning piece of economics. It's backed on.
We didn't win the Nobel Prize.
We didn't win the Nobel Prize. No, that'd be great. That'd be great.
But
no,
you
we
lead
didn't.
with that.
Yeah,
That's the case.
That's right. The math that backs the risk score won the Nobel Prize in economics. And what it does is it pokes at you and it prods at you in order to figure out kind of your comfort zone as it relates to losing money. Because no one has a problem when everything's just straight up.
Yeah.
Right? Like no one's getting uncomfortable when they're just making money hand over fist. But in order to see your portfolio have those big, sexy returns, you have to sit through the non-sexy, painful, my portfolio's down, right? You don't get the up without the down.
That's a life principle for everything, and it happens to apply to investing as well.
With no risk, there is no return. With no risk, there is no return. So if you're looking for big returns, you're going to need to be able to stomach big risk. And that's what our risk score is going to do. It's going to show you, okay, you think that you want to target a 7 or an 8 or a 9 or a 10% rate of return. Okay, you want to target that. Great. Here's what you're going to, here's the pain that you're going to have to sit through and not get emotional in order to see that 8, 9, 10% payoff. How does that feel to you? And time again.
When are you going to tap out is the question.
When are you going to tap out? And time again, people come in and they say, well, I am so comfortable with taking risk.
I'm a riverboat gambler.
Tap.
That's how I got this far.
Tap.
Yeah.
No, tap. I'm tapping out.
Yeah.
You know, they start to see the losses. And when you've done a good job saving for retirement, you got $2-3 million. Those losses, from a pure dollar standpoint, are big. You know, you said you want to target a 9% rate of return. All right. Are you willing to sit through a $900,000 loss on paper? No.
No, I'm calling you to pull out at that point.
Okay, then you're not going to shoot for a 9 or a 10% rate of return. We got to shoot for something lower. So if you want to check out the risk score, maybe you've never done that, you've never seen it, you have no idea how to quantify risk, give us a call. We can start that process. It takes no more than 30 minutes, 770-741-0120, or you can reach out to us at retireatlradio.com.
What I love about this is, I mean, there are a lot of things that this risk score can kind of inform us on, but maybe the biggest one for me, kind of big picture, is it now gives you a basis to make decisions off of. Or maybe even more importantly than that, now we can assess the success or failure of a portfolio. Prior to knowing what this score is and prior to knowing what is appropriate for you, you're kind of at the whims of kind of account balance your statement balance. And, well, I feel okay because it's up. Well, that may be the very recipe for what's going to absolutely come crashing down soon. And another recent story, if we've got a minute, is you know, listen, there are a lot of stocks. You could go right now and you could just pick from a handful of stocks that have just really crushed it for the past couple of years. I mean, a bunch of them. Well, we had somebody in our office recently, and what he didn't know when he came in was that he had one stock that was basically propping up the entire rest of his portfolio. I mean, he's looking at his portfolio statement balance on paper, and it's up a lot. What he didn't know was...
And it's a big portfolio.
It's a big portfolio.
Yeah, it's about $4 million, $4+ million.
Right. Yes, exactly. And so what he didn't realize was a lot of his holdings were down, and down pretty big, or at the very least treading water. But he had one or two stocks that had just like doubled and tripled in the past couple of years. Well, now he's got this portfolio with 60 or 70 holdings in it. 40 or 50 of them are not performing, but 2 of them are crushing it. So on paper, this thing looks great. But if you take one layer deeper and see what's actually happening here, if it weren't for those 1 or 2 stocks, he's literally negative. And how do you know that? And how do you know if that's appropriate for you if you don't know? Now, maybe you're in the stage of life or in a situation where that amount of risk is appropriate for you. I'm not
you're
telling
30.
you. Yeah.
You're 30 and you're trying to freaking hang the moon.
Yeah.
You're like,
sure.
let's go for it.
You got time, go for it. Why not take some risks?
Okay, what age should you stop being so risky? You just said it. Hey, at 30, I can be risky. I can have a little fun. I can, it's like going to Vegas. I've got a little expendable cash. I can have some fun with it. At what age do you really need to start shutting that down? Or is there an age?
We could give you like a general rule of thumb on age. I think it's better, it's more helpful to look at time horizon though. Because I could be 30, but if I want to retire at 40, that's different from a 30-year-old who's thinking I'm retiring at 65. So it's more about time horizon. Once you get into that 10-year time horizon of within the next 10 years, my dollars that I have invested are going to need to turn into some kind of income stream for me to live. Okay, once you're in that window, that's when a lot of people start thinking a whole heck of a lot differently about risk as they approach that. I'm turning this asset into income. Okay, now we got to flip the switch. So I think, we could give an age, but it's better to just think time horizon.
Well, I think that's a perfect question. And I think it's the reason why, the answer is what's your risk score? What your age is, it matters. It does matter. But it's going to change for everyone. But what your risk score is unique to you.
Actually, no, it does change.
Your situation. Yeah, it can change.
It changes all the time throughout the life of your retirement.
Correct.
But it's not going to change in any one moment. Like today versus tomorrow, your risk score is the same.
But your risk score when you're 30 and your risk score when you're 60 is different.
Exactly.
And so that's the answer to the question.
That's why the team at the Vincent Financial Group invites you to call right now to take advantage of the no-cost, no-obligation risk score from the Vincent Financial Group. 770-741-0120. Again, 770-741-0120. We know you got a lot going on this weekend. We're going to get you off the phone pretty quick. Just need a couple of pieces of information, your name, like a phone number, but most importantly, when is it convenient for your schedule to sit down and have this conversation with Aaron Vincent or Matt Decker? More importantly, when can we find out your risk score? 770-741-0120 or retireatlradio.com. Have you ever had somebody, I want to get in the psyche of this risk score again, that you punch the numbers, you find out somebody's risk score, and they almost get mad. They're like, no, Aaron, that's not right. Nope, do it again.
Yes.
Nope, do it again.
Or
and like they have a number in their mind, and until you get to that number, they're not going to be happy.
Yeah. No, we have it all the time. People will come in and they'll take this quiz, this risk score. It's actually pretty fun too. I mean, it's fun to do.
Yeah.
And they'll say, I got to take it again. Because I don't understand the questions. It was my first time.
Right.
I didn't really know what it was asking. Now that I've finished it once, I know it's asking. They take it again, and it's like within 2 points.
Yeah.
It's the exact same thing.
Yeah, I'm not a 36 out of 100. I feel like I'm more like a 70. Then they take it again, and they're like a 40. You're like, okay.
Well, it's not the answer.
We got what we need.
It's your answer. It's not what you're looking for.
There's no right answer.
Yeah.
Correct.
It is what it is.
Well, so here's the next step of that, because I think it's relevant to your question, Mark, and that is like, okay, so your risk score is a 40, right? Now, the next step is let us analyze your current portfolio.
Yeah, what's the risk score of your portfolio?
And so this story I told a minute ago, the gentleman with the 2 stocks that were just outperforming everything else. Well, he was a 40. I think it was 38.
Yeah.
On his risk score. His portfolio was like a 96. Now that shows. And now the reality of that is like it only happens to be a good story. We're laughing about it now, and I hope he's listening because he'll know that it's him. But it's because the markets have kind of cooperated with him. Had this been in a different environment and those 2 stocks were down as much as they are up, which, as Matt just explained, that is a real possibility, we're crying. We're not laughing at that point. Because when you saved enough money to make your retirement a reality, losing money at that point hurts so much more than making some more money helps you. And I think, but we don't think in those terms. We think about, I'm feeling good or I'm feeling bad. Markets are up, my portfolio's up. Markets are down, my portfolio's down. I'll make decisions based on how I feel at those times. It's the enemy, and that's what we're trying to talk about.
We go through this retirement planning process with so many people, and it's fascinating to watch how the risk score discussion morphs once you start talking about what your goals are and what your income possibilities look like. So we get to the end of the process, and we've had several meetings. We've got all of their goals down on paper. Okay, you want to retire at this age. You want to spend this much money. You're going to take the family on these vacations. You're going to help the grandkids pay for college. What else are you going to do? What else are you going to do? What else are you going to do? And by the time we get to the end, it's like, I'm not going to do anything else, okay? You got everything I'm going to do, and it's on paper. Well, all right. When we get all of that into our retirement planning process, you were a 50 risk score, but we only need 20 points of risk to accomplish everything that we just put on paper. And when I pressed you for more, you got mad at me. You're like, there is no more. Stop asking me about more. And so then the question becomes, do you even want to take the risk that you feel comfortable taking, or do you want to take less? And most people are like, if I can take less, let's take less.
How smooth of a ride do you want?
Right. How smooth of a ride do you want? Do you want the gondola ride?
Yeah.
Or do you want to be on the ocean in a tiny little boat when the wind's coming in? And they're like, the gondola ride sounds kind of nice. Let's take the gondola ride. But you can't get there. You cannot get there if you don't start with knowing what your personal emotional capacity for risk is, and then you analyze what you're doing currently, and then you get all your goals on paper and you say, all right, what are we working with here? How close are we? How far away are we? And once you're at the end of the process, the decisions actually come really easy, but those decisions are super difficult at the front end of the process. No one has answers at the front.
Now we're talking facts, not opinions or emotions. We're talking about real things.
That's right.
It goes back to the age thing, too, because when you're a little bit younger, getting out on those choppy waters, it's kind of adventurous. Sounds kind of fun. Then you reach a certain age, gondola ride, that's more my speed right there. 770-741-0120. Again, 770-741-0120. You can call right now to take advantage of that no-cost, no-obligation risk score from Aaron Vincent, Matthew Decker, and the team at the Vincent Financial Group. Of course, always talk via phone, via Zoom, or in person. Aaron Vincent, where can we find the home office?
Our home office is in downtown Woodstock. We love it. We love our community, and the office is a great place to be. You'll get to meet our team. I'm really proud of our team. It's growing. We just hired a few more people, and so, but our office is great to be at. Easy parking, but listen, I'm aware. I live in Atlanta as well. Traffic is a real thing. Sometimes you don't want to drive across town. We get that, and so we do a lot of Zoom calls as well.
770-741-0120 or retireatlradio.com. Quick break. We're back with more. This is Retire ATL. It's all powered by the Vincent Financial Group.